Hello to all my friends and family, and welcome to Jim's 5 a.m. Club. And today, you wouldn't guess where I am, but I'm in the middle of Sydney. I'm at the Sydney Olympic Park at a place called the Bicentennial Park. And I'm surrounded by magnificent bushland, lakes, development, you name it. This precinct here, this Homebush precinct has was made possible because of the Olympic Games, the Sydney 2000 Games, where this whole area here was transformed from marshland, from swamp, from abattoirs, you name it, was turned into this magnificent arena, which is a social hub, a business hub, and a sporting hub of Sydney. And today it's showcased. It's a magnificent day. It's the first day of winter. Happy first of the month. Happy winter to all my friends and family, and to all my friends and family in the Northern Hemisphere. Happy summer, galokeri. But it's a glorious day here in Sydney today. Hard to believe that it's winter already, but a beautiful, beautiful day. Just so I'm showcasing this area here, just so you know, just at the top of the hill here is the Waterview Reception Lounge and Waterview Cafe, owned and run by a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, Theo Drivis, and his wonderful family. And Theo and his family, his brothers, are involved in the whole convention wedding planning business, and they have been for many years. They are leaders in their field, and I'm proud to know Theo and to call him a good friend of mine, because he is a remarkable person, a person who is energized, is always positive, is entrepreneurial, and always looking to do something to better this country that he came to live in. Like many migrants, Theo, his parents, came here back in the, in the 50s and 60s. And he has done a lot in a short period of time. Anyway, whilst we're on that topic, I'll just turn the camera to me so we can have a bit of a chat, a bit of a walk and talk. And what I want to do today is talk to you about a book summary. And it's a timely book summary. And the book summary is called Under Pressure by Dr Lisa Damour. And it's a book which I guess is one that's going to talk to us about the disadvantages, but also the advantages of stress and pressure from a psychologist's perspective, so they can help us put it into perspective and use it to our advantage. Because the author here kicks off with an interesting point. A lot of people will be surprised by what Dr. Lisa has to say, but hear us out and we'll go on a walk and talk, we'll go on a journey and see where it leads us. But the author kicks off with a wonderful sort of quote, a message which I guess sets the tone for the other messages that come from this wonderful text, where she says that unfortunately, anxiety, like stress, has gotten a bad rap over the years. Somewhere along the line, we happen to get the idea that emotional discomfort is always a bad thing. But what this author here is talking about and will teach us is that stress and anxiety Yes, it can be overwhelming when you get it in big doses, but we also need it in order to propel us and to get us moving and to bring out the best in us as well. So we need to, I guess, embrace it, is what the author is suggesting, understand it, and make it work for you and for those around you that you can influence and mentor. The author then goes on to the first formal point in the book, where she says that sometimes stress is good because it can help us grow. It can help allow us to grow. I just dropped my notes, just bear with me. And I found where they are, so I didn't miss a page, and hopefully I haven't missed the beat. So sometimes stress is good because it can help us grow. And that's what we want to hear, because our primary focus and our key motivation should be to grow and develop throughout our lives. There shouldn't be a day, there shouldn't be an age, there shouldn't be a moment where you don't want to continue growing, developing, and becoming a better and more appropriate, time-appropriate version of who you are. Because as we get older, the environment around us changes, the relationships that we're in change, we morph, and we need to keep on right-sizing to fit into those social circles that we choose to be in, and to stay relevant, I guess, is the key point that I want to make. Stay relevant, stay reasonable, and stay connected. So the amount of stress and anxiety, however, this book is mainly focused for parents with young girls. So I've got granddaughters, so to a certain extent it resonates with me as well. But it's never too late to learn about young girls. It's never too late to learn about good parenting skills, because as we say, the cycle starts again, and we can use it with our grandchildren if we can't use it with our children, who now are adults, so to speak. So the amount of stress that the author talks about here, the amount of stress that young girls are experiencing is rising dramatically. The stress and anxiety on young people. But the author here, because this book is directed towards young girls, says that for young girls, for young women, the stress and anxiety that they go through is phenomenally more and much more difficult in relative terms to what other generations have endured. I'm sure that people will probably want to argue the point on that, saying that other young girls grew up as orphans, grew up in war, grew up in famine, and grew up in a much more difficult world. But for this particular book, for this author, let's give them the benefit of the doubt so that we can continue to see where it leads us. So the author here then reminds us that there are two types of stress. Stress is good, especially if it's useful stress, because it helps build resilience and strength to tackle future trials. So we need to encourage our daughters to welcome stress and not to try and hide from it, not to try and shy away from it, and not to try and avoid it, because by doing that, they're going to be less able to deal with some of the bigger challenges that will most definitely come their way, because all of us will get turns at trials and tribulations in our life, and those trials and tribulations are also relative to our ability to be resilient and to be able to bounce back, our bounceability factor, that we would have picked up by welcoming stress and anxiety from a young age, but of course in a measured form, not being overwhelmed by it, not being frightened by it, and not being destroyed by it. Very important to say that. But the author also says that there is, of course, limits, and this is what I'm alluding to now, that there are limits to how much stress that children can deal with and young adults. Beyond that point, it becomes damaging. It becomes a negative influence, and it could destroy somebody to the point where they may never be able to recover, nor will they have the wish nor the will to want to recover and to take on other stressful situations later in life. But we all know that we get married, we have children, we start working, we're in relationships, we're in social circles, we're in community groups, and we are always involved to a certain level in different little battles which can become stressful and can become unproductive if you let them become overwhelming. So the author then here says, don't teach your girls to avoid problems, but instead we need to learn to confront them. This is the crux. This is the message from this book, that the whole purpose of us growing up, learning and developing is to be able to take on our problems, our challenges head on, and not to shy away from them, and not to use excuses to hide from them and to let them get the better of us in the long term. So anxiety gets worse. We need to understand how it all works, because what the author here says, got a couple of ducks down here if you can see them, anxiety gets worse, much worse, when we avoid things that scare us. We must learn to not feed the ducks, as the sign says over there. We mustn't feed the ducks, but this is a great analogy. We must not, under any circumstances, feed anxiety through avoidance. This is a powerful message. Do not feed anxiety through avoidance. This is probably a message which is extremely profound. For those who are anxious, who are prone to anxiety, we need to understand that anxiety is exacerbated, is made worse, accelerates the more you fear it and the more you avoid it. The way we sort anxiety out, the way we conquer fears, is by taking them on one step at a time, boldly, slowly, surely, but you head towards it as opposed to running away from it or trying to sweep it under the carpet, is the message from this author. So trying to escape your problems, we've all done this. I used to do it as a kid as well. Being an only child, I didn't have the opportunity to have brothers and sisters to bounce ideas off and to learn from. I had to learn through probably adults, uncles and aunts, and school friends. But the author here says that trying to escape your problems also keeps you from learning the important truth that failure isn't always all that bad. How many of us have gone through life and failed at something, and after you failed at it, you feel relief and you go, shit, that wasn't all that bad. That didn't destroy me. It didn't change my relationship with my wife. It didn't change my relationship with my parents, my friends, my family, my work peers. Sometimes we overthink things and we over-worry about things that, as we said before, are not worth worrying about. So trying to escape your problems also keeps you from learning the important truth. So sometimes making mistakes, failing, gives us a foundation, gives us an opportunity to be able to gain perspective about reality and about what matters and what hurts, what doesn't hurt, what hurts really badly, what doesn't hurt at all. But all of these things are lessons that we all need to incorporate and to gather into our inventory of skills that we have a whole lifetime to gather. There's no use gathering the same experience over and over again. We need a bit of salt and pepper. We need a bit of, curry. We need a bit of chili. We need a bit of sugar. And all of these other things to enhance the spectrum of life that we have available to us. So the author then says we need to approach our fears with small steps. And there are different styles. Some people like to approach things big and bold. Other people like to approach them in small steps and then gather momentum until they're unstoppable. It's up to each person. I guess each person has a different style. The author's style here that they suggest is approach a fear in small steps. Be cautious, but small steps. But build up your momentum and build up your courage. And the last point that comes from this book is an observation that I've been able to appreciate over a number of years. I was very, very fortunate to have fathered 2 daughters, to be a father of 2 girls, Catherine and Artemis. And I learned from many, many years ago that there was a shift. There was a major shift in the dynamics between boys and girls. When I was young, and when my father's generation and grandfather's generation were young, the boys outperformed the girls in many areas of their lives. And it was mainly because, I guess, the girls didn't have the right opportunities. To be truthful, they didn't have the same opportunities in education. They didn't have the same opportunities career-wise, and they didn't have the same opportunities in terms of support, and all of the other things that they do have now. So the author here points out for all of us to understand that girls outperform boys in many, many areas now. Gone are the days where the boys, the men, were dominant at school, at sport, in business, in relationships, in community. Now, anybody can achieve anything once they put their mind to it, regardless of your gender. But girls outperform boys at school, but have a harder time worrying about how they're doing. So what the author is saying, that even though the girls are outperforming the boys at school, they do stress about those performances. They do worry a little bit more than what boys worry about because of the way they're wired. As I say, I'm not a woman, I'm not a girl, I don't understand. But having had daughters, you do tend to understand that girls, I guess, mull over, think about things which are different to what boys think about, and worry about things which are different to the sort of things that boys worry about. But the fact is that girls now are doing better, much better than boys in all areas. So, as I say to a lot of people, my son-in-law also had 2 daughters, so my daughter had 2 girls, and I keep on telling them that there's never been a time in the history of mankind that it's been a better time to be a father, a grandfather, a parent of girls. The world is designed for the skills, the particular soft skills, the networking skills, the things that girls are great at naturally. The world is designed for those sort of skills to excel. So the author here says that because girls are a little bit differently wired in terms of how they think and how they interact, they tend to worry more and be a little bit more stressed out than what boys are. And that's the cost. That's the cost of being a successful woman. The cost of being a successful girl is that you may be a little bit more stressed than what a male counterpart could be. But this is what the author's saying, so it's not my particular view. So just accept it as a viewpoint. So what they say here is that girls tend to put high value on grades and school performance, and they tend to overreact with challenges such as not doing well in a test or a failure, whereas boys, in many ways, I've been a boy, you do well, you're happy. You don't do well, you just take it on the chin. But what they're saying is that the girls are a little bit more higher stressed, and if they put in the hard yards and they work to an outcome and don't get it, they tend to get stressed about that because they don't want to feel dumb or to be ridiculed or to be picked on, I guess is one way of looking at it. Whereas a boy, they just see bad results as a reflection of them not studying, having a bad day, and they tend to rationalise things a little better to enable them not to worry as much, is the point that's being made. So one thing that girls can improve on, and if you're a father or a parent or a grandparent of girls, is to help them put things into proportion and to understand proportionality a little bit better, because this is one of the areas that the author says is an area where once mastered can add significant value and power to girls and help them make even bigger inroads in their lives and in their communities by being more proportionate and to have things in better perspective. So there you go. I think I'll leave it there. So that's the end of this book summary. I didn't plan on doing 3 for the day, but I came down here and it's such a beautiful place. It's such a beautiful day that I thought, why not? I've pre-prepared a number of book summaries just in case I get an opportunity. And one of the great strengths of Jim's 5am Club, and one of my passions, is to highlight the beauty of this magnificent city of Sydney. And today, as I said, I'm at Homebush, I'm at Bicentennial Park. I came and visited a friend of mine and thought that why not come down here and showcase this magnificent area, a place where you can have wedding receptions, you can have parties, you can come for just a bite to eat and enjoy the beautiful winter sun on these magnificent lawns, and just enjoy the pond, the view, the sounds of the waterfowl, and to just feel as if you've gotten away, feel as if you're in the country, even though you're in the centre of suburbia. So thank you once again. Let's finish off with a positive affirmation. I'm alive, I am well, I feel absolutely great. To my friends and family, stay connected, stay relevant, stay reasonable. And thank you for joining me on this episode of Jim's 5am Club, where we went through a book summary entitled Under Pressure by a female author, Dr Lisa Damour, where we learnt a little bit more in terms of how pressure can be good for you, and we can channel it and make the most of it, and that girls are a little bit different to boys, and to be able to help them make the most of the skills and the opportunities that they have coming towards them and available to them by helping them put things into perspective and to learn to deal with pressure, because the world today, the world tomorrow is going to heap a lot more pressure on each and every one of us. So we need to be well versed and ready to take on the challenges, all the challenge that life has to push our way, and to do it with all the skills that we have available to us. Take care. Yasas, ketaleme. Let's be the wind beneath our wings and live, learn, and pass it on. Bye for now. And thank God for girls.